kHz. This is Delhi. Please stand by for our next broadcast.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Statesman, in its editorial titled Death of a General, says, the 45th President of the United States of America has, in a way, assassinated an Iranian general. It would be presumptuous quite yet to hazard a guess on whether Friday's killing of General Qasem Soleimani in a drone attack at Baghdad airport and on the orders of Donald Trump could ignite a war. Suffice it to register that it has been a direly tragic start to the new year. Mr. Donald Trump had, during his campaign for the White House in 2016, pledged that his country would not become further entangled in what he called endless wars in the Middle East. He has almost consciously backtracked, and mortally so, with the biggest gamble in geostrategy, verily an overkill in the immediate aftermath of the US Embassy siege that did not result in a single casualty. The killing of General Soleimani, a shadowy figure in the Middle East, has bent the inward-looking America First policy of the White House. On Friday, Mr. Trump betrayed an impulsive taste for confrontation and military adventure. General Soleimani was a ruthless and cynical perpetrator of lethal violence against Western interests and had played a part in the mass killings of civilians at the height of Syria's civil war. He was cast in the mold of the ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who was killed by US Special Forces some months ago. As leader of the Revolutionary Guards Quds Force, Soleimani was considered the second most powerful figure in the Iranian regime, indeed, next to the supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei. He was a revered figure in his country, having first made his reputation during the Iran-Iraq conflict in the late 1980s. Small wonder that his assassination has been deemed as an act of war against a beleaguered country, but still militarily potent state. The misadventure inherent in the assassination is fraught on the part of a partially impeached president in the House of Representatives and in the year of presidential election. It would be useful to recall that the assassination attempt was so risky that George Bush had rejected similar opportunities despite General Soleimani's prominent role in the Iraqi insurgency against American troops following the invasion of 2003. Barack Obama later made the same call, but thought that it could lead to war with Iran. Mr. Trump, flaunting an American flag to mark the moment, decided to take the chance. In the net, he has endangered US security and the stability of the world's most volatile region. The general's death could spur similar action on a larger scale. The Iranian nuclear deal, which European diplomats have been trying to keep alive following America's withdrawal from it in 2018, must now be close to collapsing. There is consternation in the world today over Mr. Trump's self-arrogated license to kill. He is the sort of president that the United States of America, the fountainhead of democracy, libertarian thought and action, could well do without. The Statesman, in its editorial titled Cauldron Down Under, writes, the scale of the national catastrophe in Australia is awesome to even imagine. Reminiscent of the disaster in Brazil some months ago, the bushfire in southwestern Australia has till Saturday morning engulfed no less than 5.5 hectares of the land, said to be larger than Denmark and the Netherlands put together. A look at the sky was a signal that the cauldron may take a while to douse. Reports suggest that the sky first turned black, then a terrifying apocalyptic red. Of course, global heating is central to the catastrophe, regretfully. However, Prime Minister Scott Morrison has tried to deflect and distract from the role played by global warming in a national disaster. Almost as forbidding as the fire has been, the biggest ever population exodus, most particularly from New South Wales. In neighbouring Victoria, a state of disaster has been announced, permitting formal evacuation orders to be issued. The Army and Navy have been deployed to transport residents from affected areas at risk of further devastation. The trail of destruction, which has so far led to the loss of 18 lives, has been facilitated by a combination of searing heat, strong winds, and a record-breaking 3 years of drought, which has left the soil extremely moist. Mercifully, one is inclined to supplement the anxiety to industrialize is not a compelling factor as in Brazil. This is a national catastrophe. It is fervently to be hoped that the courage, skill and fortitude of local residents, emergency services and the armed forces will be able to mitigate the disaster. Yet it may be a while before the worst is over as Australia braces for the hottest phase of summer. Not that Prime Minister Morrison was not warned of the impact of the climate crisis on Australia, but as this tragedy has unfolded, one of the Mr. Morrison's main concerns has been to underplay this